book video no ije. You motor car.
They are burning the right away. I've set everything in place. See, people are really angry. See, people are angry everywhere.
This is very mysterious. Did a demon possess this man of God? Or was this a case of ritual killing? On the 22nd of September 2023, a young pastor picked up a cutlass, went to his father's village, and destroyed his father's shrine before returning to his home, where he began to pray, only for something to possess him to pick up that cutlass once again, except this time it was not a shrine, but to his neighbor's house, where he hacked his neighbor's daughter to death in the most brutal way you could ever imagine, right in front of her mother. And this is not even the most confusing part, because stories like this are why it's important for us to respect other people's beliefs, even though you think yours is the most superior. But before we continue, please make sure you are subscribed to this channel so that whenever there is a new video, you'll get notified. You can also comment where you're watching from, like, and equally share.
I was made for freedom, no longer seem so ordinary. I was made for freedom, no longer seem so ordinary. I was made for free, no longer seem so ordinary. I was made for.
The young pastor who goes by the name of Alex Itejere was said to be a 31-year-old graduate who used to work as a lecturer at some point before deciding to be a pastor. He soon opened up his own church, his ministry called the Wellspring of God Ministry, located in Agbaroto local government area of Ughelli, Delta State. It was an upcoming church, a new one, with a relative amount of members, of which it was said the victim that he had killed, along with her mother, were members of his new church. Wow, way to welcome in a new member of your church with a cutlass to their head. It's surprising how this man went from an upcoming spiritual figurehead to a spiritual man who cut off someone's head. However, from what is being said, on the 21st of September 2023, somewhere in the afternoon/evening, Alex asked the neighbor to borrow a cutlass that he needed to go to his father's compound in the village to destroy his father's idols, because his father was an idol worshipper, a traditionalist, someone who believes in juju, and his father happened to have a shrine in his compound. But it's not clear where his father's village was, but I want to guess his father's village was still somewhere in Ughelli, because I can't imagine him borrowing a cutlass from a neighbor and traveling a distance to go and destroy a shrine. So it is very possible that his father's village was still somewhere around his reach. And citing that his father was an idol worshipper, it's also important to understand that Alex was an upcoming minister, an upcoming man of God who prided himself in being used by the Lord, who pride himself in changing the religious game as a whole. He sees himself as an offspring of Pastor TB Joshua, as cited by one of his cryptic Facebook posts where he defended Yahoo boys and also ordained himself the next TB Joshua, who was going to do wonders and change the whole world, and God was going to use him to do great things. So I guess that mentality got into his head, that he felt the need to destroy every idol worshipper in his lineage. And so he picked up the cutlass that his neighbor borrowed him, entered the transport possibly, and went to his father's compound, where he targeted the shrine, in which he single-handedly destroyed. Maybe he went with other members of his church, is not clear, but what is very clear is that he was most likely not spiritually prepared for that battle, because although he may have won the fight, he could not win the war, because after destroying the shrine, this is where it was said that his downfall began, and it did not take long before the gods retaliated. I understand that it seems like a good thing for Christians to go and destroy idol worshipping gods and all of that, but in the end, if we have to talk about it, Where is the religious tolerance? Where is the respect for other people's form of belief? We understand that we as Christians, we feel or we believe or we know that the God we worship is the supreme, is the number one, is above all, and every other God is a lesser God. And as long as we think that, it's okay. But it becomes a problem when we start leaving the house of God to go into these shrines to look for trouble, to destroy them, because we feel like they don't have the rights to have their worshippers. We feel like our God is the biggest one, so every other God must be destroyed. And even at that, even if we had to do that, don't you think that you should be somehow, some way spiritually strong enough to embark in such a fight? Because clearly Alex has been seeing a lot of old Nollywood movies and he thought this was one of those movies. Clearly he wasn't spiritually prepared for this fight he was going to fight, because you just can't wake up one morning and say God called you and all of a sudden you think you have the power and the audacity to pick up a cutlass to go and destroy your father's shrine, a shrine that his father was most likely worshipping, a god that they've been worshipping before the white man came. We might think these things are powerless, but are they really powerless? Are these lesser gods powerless? Is this juju, are they really weak? This African juju that a lot of Christians look down on, do you think they are powerless? Because I would like to know your comments. I would like for us to talk about this. Do you really think this juju, these shrines, these our African voodoo, do you think it's powerless? Because if they are, why do you pray every night? Why do you cover yourself with the blood of Jesus? Why are you so afraid? Why are people fighting spiritual battles? Why are people throwing charms and using juju on people, attacking people in their sleep? Are they really powerless? That is one question I really wanted to understand. Because from this video, from this story, it is almost possible and nearly reasonable to see that these juju, these lesser gods, these shrines have their own forces, have their own entity. They may not be the same source that we worship from, but if you believe that there is a metaphysical or there is a strong spiritual realm out there, then it's also possible that these things have their own line of powers. And maybe now we understand, because for Alex Itejere, it was too late for him. Maybe he felt this shrine was something that was holding him back. Maybe he felt the fact that his father was an idol worshiper was why he could not attain the full potential of his newfound calling in the Lord. Maybe he thought destroying his father's shrine was going to be one step to him getting closer to God. Maybe that's what he thought. And maybe he thought right, because after destroying the shrine, instantly his life pretty much changed and turned around for the very worst. Instantly, because it was said after destroying the shrine, he went back home and they said he went into his room and began praying. It's not clear at what time, but somewhere around the 22nd of September, in the early hours, around 3-4 a.m. It was said, and you could hear in one of the videos where the neighbor kept saying, I heard him praying around 3. So it could have been around that time while Alex was praying heavily that he must have been possessed by some kind of demon. He must have gotten something wrong in his head. It would be nice to hear from him, but in that moment while he was praying, it was said he picked up that same cutlass, went to his neighbor's house, broke the door down, or maybe he knocked and saw the neighbor's daughter sleeping, where he instantly hacked her to death. It was said he also tried attacking the mother, but the mother had raised alarm, and that was when neighbors and everybody came instantly to their aid, seeing who this young pastor had killed brutally. And when asked why, they say he could not explain why. He started rolling on the floor. He started acting weird. He started acting like he had been possessed by some kind of demon, which is most possibly what had happened. Because how else do you explain this? How else did you? Because a lot of people are thinking maybe it's for rituals. But if he wanted to do this for rituals, wouldn't he have done it secretly? Wouldn't he have done it in a way that would be so schemishly? Did he have to do it so carelessly and so messy that he knew very well that he would be implicated? When this happened, the neighbors were shocked. Everybody was surprised as to what had happened. The entire community woke up to this horror that had just been done to a young girl who was just in her sleep. His church was said to have been attacked earlier on, with the property destroyed and even set ablaze. They even talked about lynching him, but his only luck was that they couldn't set him on fire because it was raining. Well, I guess God really wanted him to go to jail. Because I honestly would want him to be alive to explain what came over him. Because I would like for him to tell us what happened. Did he choose to do it? Can he deliberately tell us that he was possessed by a spirit? Even though that would be very convenient for him, because I feel like in as much as there's a chance that he must have been possessed by a demon to carry out that act, there's still a chance that he knew what he was doing. There's still a chance that maybe it was the same spirit that told him to go and destroy his father's shrine that also told him to go and kill this girl, because he thought when he did it, he will be seen as a hero somehow, some way. I don't even know how. Because it was said the victim that he killed had recently lost her dad. Maybe he assumed, or he thought, or maybe the spirit in him told him the girl was a witch, because I don't even know what to say around this point, because we need an explanation, and we don't have one. The police were said to have been immediately called when Alex was being questioned and being attacked and nearly lynched to death. And when the police came, he was taken along with the girl's remains. While the girl was taken to a morgue, Alex was taken to jail. So maybe we would be waiting for an explanation. Maybe we would be waiting to see or hear what he had to say. But a lot of people are beginning to cite that he might have been possessed or dominated by the demon that he had gone to destroy from his father's shrine. That is what people are saying. That is where this whole narrative came from. Because it was that same day or a few hours after he had gone to destroy his father's shrine that he did this heinous act. He committed this horrible murder, killing a young girl in front of her mom. That is when people suspected that it could have been from the fact that he had gone to attack a shrine and he wasn't very prepared. Although there are people who are saying that he might have been a money ritual case, remember we already talked about that. Some people are of the opinion that he was most likely trying to do some kind of ritual for his church, because this is what these pastors do. It's not really clear again. Some people said, just for notes, the sources are saying he went to the woman's house. Other sources are saying he called the girl into his room to kill her. But regardless of what it was, he still did not get away with it. He still wasn't slick. He clearly wasn't trying to hide it. And that is how this young man's life turned around instantly, from being the next young TB Joshua to being the next young inmate in cell block D. It's a very shocking story and a very disturbing one, honestly. I frankly don't even have an opinion. I, at the point, thought, okay, maybe he tried to, he does some kind of ritual. That was when I did think maybe at the time that he was the one who called the girl into his room. But when I started seeing in other sources saying that he went to the girl's room and broke into the girl's family house and killed the girl, it felt very direct and very possible. I mean, he could have killed any other person in the house. He could have gone for anyone, but for him to go to that girl, it's possible that he was possessed. Or it's possible that he had done something with the girl and did not want the girl to speak. Or it's also possible that he is lusting over the girl and treated it as though the girl was the temptation in his life and he needed to get rid of her. Because clearly he was getting rid of things that were holding him back. Clearly at the time he picked up that cutlass to destroy his father's shrine, he was most likely doing it because those were things that he thought was holding him back from achieving a full height or a full success of his newfound calling. And for him to do this to the girl, I can also assume that there is something about the girl that he thought was something that needed to also be destroyed as well as the shrine. Maybe while he was praying, he saw the girl in his head and thought the girl was a witch. Maybe while he was praying, he was thinking of the girl and was lusting after her and interpreted it as though she was the demon holding him back. Maybe he thought all of these things because what was the reason?
What was the reason?
Anyhow, guys, I want to hear your opinions on this. I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think really happened to Alex? Do you think he was possessed by the demon from the shrine of his father he had gone to destroy? Or do you think he acted on his own accord by himself? Because if I have to choose, I would say that he definitely had seen this girl in a different light than he should have. and had assumed that the girl was the problem in his life. That's what I can imagine. Since they were neighbors, I can imagine him looking at her every other day, must have gotten lost in his head. I can imagine him waking up as early as 3 a.m. praying. Maybe he has even started doing something with the girl. Maybe he had been doing something with her and he had gotten tired and he felt bad and needed to get rid of her because she is the sin that is making him unholy. It is also very possible because it was said that the girl and the girl's mom goes to his church. There's nothing we haven't seen pastors do. There's nothing we haven't seen men of God do. It's just unfortunate that this young girl had to suffer for something she did not know, especially while the young girl was also dealing with the loss of her own father. It's unfortunate. It's sad.
I was made for freedom, no longer sin so burden me. I was made for freedom, no longer sin so burden me. I was made for freedom, no longer sin so burden me. I was made for freedom. I am free from the slavery of fornication. I am free from suffering of limitation. Oh, I am free from the bonds of slavery. I am free.